everybody. This is Jeff Kinniger with National HOSA. Thank you for taking your time today to be with us. We're going to conduct our webinar, and our topic today is conference management systems, setting up, managing a conference. We'll also touch a little bit on online testing. The plan today is I'm going to kind of take everybody through the process of creating the conference, and as you have questions that pop up, Bobby is working with me here today. If you'll type your questions to Bobby, we're not going to stop during the middle and answer, but we will come back at the end and answer all questions and have question and answer time and go back through anything that may not make sense or that you have questions on. So make sure that you take good notes and log your questions or type them to Bobby, and then we'll address those at the end. But to get started, we'll just start at the beginning. The screen that you're seeing here is the login screen from the HOSA website. If you go to www.hosa.org, in the upper right-hand corner, you will see that there is a login link. When you click that link, it takes you to this page. We're interested in logging in as the state advisor. All states have a user ID and password that's unique to the state that if you don't have it, you'll need to get it from your state advisor. That will give you access to the areas that we're going to be working in today. So I'm going to be logging in. We've created a for our testing purposes here at Nationals, we have a national test chapter. So I'll be logging in as national headquarters. Put in my ID and my password, and we're going to go ahead and log in. Okay, so once you've logged in, what you're going to see is the dashboard for the state advisor management. And you'll see that you've got links up here across the top for main menu, chapters, members, log off, regions. In addition to managing conferences out of this area, you can also see all of the chapter data, generate reports on all of your different membership, state dues paid. All of that takes place out of here as well. If you're looking up if somebody's a member, you can go to member. You can assign regions. If you're a state that is managing your state through regions, you can go in here and assign regions to all your chapters. You can look up chapters under the chapters link. But for our purposes today, we're going to be interested in the area down here that's conference management. We'll start over here. As you can see, there's nothing here. We haven't created a conference yet. So we're going to go in, and the first thing when you're ready to start managing your conference will be to go to create a conference. And your screen's going to pop up here and ask you to enter some information. I want to make sure, please give Bobby a note if anybody's having trouble hearing me, since this isn't a two-way calling street. I'm not sure if people are hearing or not, but if there's any technical difficulties, type a note to Bobby and he'll work with you to get those resolved. Okay, so when you get in here to create a conference, the first thing you're going to do is name your conference. And I recommend for state level conferences that you include your state name in the conference so that people are sure they've got the right conference. So let's just pretend that I were doing a conference for Rhode Island. So I would probably type Rhode Island 2014 SLC. So I make clear to everybody what the name of the conference is and what it's for. So the next thing you need to do is what date do you want people to be able to start registering for the conference. So let's say I want them to start registering today. I'm creating my conference and I want I want it open so people can access it today. So I'm going to put in today's date, which is, what's the 22nd. And then the close registration date. And I want to remind everybody, many of you may be familiar with this from using it in the past, but the date that you put in as your close registration date, as soon as the clock strikes that date at midnight, it's going to close. So if you want it open all the way through, say we're going to leave this open until the 31st, we'll really want to close it on February 1st, so it'll stay open all day on the 31st. So we're going to put in 0201, and then our conference, our make-believe conference here is going to be on March 1. Okay, and then this will be a state level conference. You'll see down here your options are regional or state. We're going to select state. And then we're going to put in our state's information. So okay, so I've put all of our information as national host in here. Cell phone's optional. If you don't want to provide that to people, you don't have to include it. Likewise with fax, if you don't have a fax number at your state and you don't want to include it, but you do need to put a phone number and an email address in there. So the next thing we come to here is the options and activities. Now, some states may have no option activities. Other states may have a whole handful. The different things you can put here are, and you'll see down here a list of the few things we've got in here: advisor breakfast, courtesy corps, flag bearer, leadership academies, national officer candidate, T-shirts. If you're doing T-shirts for your people, this is where you can have them specify what size T-shirt they want to get. Are they a voting delegate? So we're going to go ahead and add a couple of these so you can just get an idea of what we're doing. You select it, hit the plus button out to the side. Now, if there's a fee for any of these, say like at National HOSA, we charge a $25 fee for leadership academies, you'd come over here and put in the fee for what that is. If the T-shirt has a fee of $8, so forth, some things may not have a fee. Now, if you've got options activities that aren't automatically in the list, you can create your own options activities under the Create New Option Activity. So you'll want to give it a code. So say we're going to do a educational symposium. So I'm going to title it Educational Symposium Doctor. And then we'd call this, let's just say Dr. Smith Review. I don't know what that would be, but making something up. If you were to check requires user input, that requires that the person who's registering for the conference select something there. So usually the case is going to be you want to just leave that blank. So we submit that, and you see it pops up over here. Say you get something in here that you didn't mean to put there, you got a little excited and something popped in there, and we didn't mean to have the voting delegate you just hit the X over here and it removes it from the list. So we've got our options activities set. We can create what we need. And now we're going to go down here to the competitive events. And you'll see all of the events that National HOSA offers, plus probably some that some states may have added in. But you just come over here, select your event, and then they move over there. So we're going to add a few here. Okay, so once you've added your events, we default the national HOSA, whatever the guidelines say as far as minimum and maximum team numbers on team events, that's going to be preset for you. But for your given state, if you only want one person per chapter to be able to register, you're going to want to change these numbers. Or if you want unlimited people, then I would suggest you max it out to something that won't be reachable. Now, if they do try to go over it or there's an error, it's not going to prevent them from registering, but what it will do is when you go in to view your registration, it's going to show you that there's an error there, and it's going to tell you what it is. So-and-so chapter registered 4 people. They're only allowed 3. That will allow you as the state advisor or the conference manager to then circle back with the chapter and say, hey, you need to take a look. I don't know if there's an error or you accidentally registered too many people, but we show 4 people in biotechnology and you're only allowed 3 for your chapter, or that type of scenario. So you will want to go through here and make sure the numbers match up. Like if on healthcare issues exam, you allow anybody in the chapter to take the test, you may want to put that at 200 or 300 so that it never pops up in an error and brings up any issues for the local chapter. Okay, so we've put in our events. If you do have any state level events that you need to include, say you're going to do middle school prepared speaking. Let's say middle, let's try to think of a code we don't have. Yeah, we don't have ML, middle level. And so then you tell them what the event is. And then you assign it to a category. We're going to call that a leadership event. You mark team event if it's a team event. And you're going to hit submit, and there it is down there. So if you have some state level events that you're running that you need to add in, that's how you do that. The last thing we need to address in creating our conference is what type of participants do we want to be able to register for the conference. So we've got a list here of commonly registered types. Probably most of yours will fall here, but every once in a while you may have to create your own, which you can do. But we want secondary, we want post-secondary, we want advisors, we want guests, and let's say we want state staff and alumni. So we get these over here, and then this is where you set your participation fee for those various types. They don't all have to be the same, so if some you're charging different fees, so say that secondary members are 50, post-secondary collegiate are 50, but we're only charging the advisor 25. Guests we're allowing to come for 10. State staff are free and alumni are free. So now if you did have some special type or you're doing something different that requires you to create a type, you've got 2 options here. It's either a member or a non-member. And what that means is a non-member is somebody, say, that's not a member of the chapter, that say you've got a parent that's helping chaperone and you didn't register them as a member of the chapter. So if you were going to create a chaperone type to come to your conference, you might want to call them a non-member. This will allow the chapter to enter a person that's not registered in their chapter to come to the conference. Now, then you can specify down here whether you allow these people to register for competitive events. So if it's a chaperone, you're probably, they're going to have no reason to be in a competitive event, so you're not going to check that box. But you could create your type and call it CH. And then hit submit. Now, already exists, but chaperone already exists in here, but if it didn't, then that's what would happen. It would pop over here to the side and allow you to add that member type. But if it's already in there, you're going to get a message that it already exists, and you should choose that one that's in there instead of creating another one. Okay, so we've created our conference. We've filled in all the blanks. We think we're good. Then down here in the bottom left-hand corner, there's going to be a submit button. And we know it's been created successfully because the message is going to pop up here, conference 1160 successfully created or updated. So once that's done, you can go back to the main menu, and you're going to see a summary of your event here. You'll see it listed, Rhode Island 2014 SLC. It's got 7 events, 4 activities. No chapters have registered yet, and no members are registered yet. Now, you'll see an action menu over here. Once we've created the conference, somebody, one of your teachers calls in and says, well, you forgot to add so-and-so event. You can come in and edit your conference by coming over under Actions, going to Edit for that conference, scroll down here and say, well, yep, I forgot to put in medical photography. I'm going to go ahead and add that, put it on the list, come down here and hit Submit, and it's going to tell us again that it was updated successfully. So then we can go back to the main menu. We're going to see now that we've got 8 events. So that's kind of the process for doing an edit to your conference. You realize you've got something in there you don't want, something you missed, you can just go in and add and edit as many times as you like. I wouldn't recommend hitting the delete button because it will delete your conference. It will ask you first, are you sure you want to delete it? But say you were working on it and something got messed up and you realize, oh, I just want to start over, or I did this one as a practice to go through it, and now I just want to clean it out of my system. You can come in here and delete a conference and get it out of the system if it was a practice or a test conference that you were just kind of working with. Under reports, once there's membership or once there's delegates registered for your conference, you can come in here and generate a host of reports. You've got multiple output options. You can view it in a browser window, you can get it out as a PDF, or you can get it downloaded as a CSV spreadsheet that can be opened in Excel. We'll come back to this once I've registered some people for the conference and we can see what the reports look like. But that's the, you have access to all of those reports. You also have some exports. We'll do that in a little bit. Email the chapter feature. Say you want to send an email to all chapters that registered for your conference. You could pull this up. You'll select the conference. If you've got multiple conferences, say in your state you've run a fall leadership, a regional, and a state, you can make sure you select the correct conference, type in your subject line if you want to CC yourself to make sure it comes, and then put a message in that just says, hey, a reminder. Advisors, make sure your students bring their guidelines to the competitive events. We started, you can send whatever messages you need to. If there's an update in times, heaven forbid, snow strikes and a conference gets delayed, you can send those messages out. And that way it's only going to the advisor of record for the registered chapters and not maybe everybody in your state if you want to specifically send to those. And you can also attach, say you want to send out your tentative agenda, you can attach a file, come in here and choose that file. So, and then once you're done with your message, you just hit send. The last feature down here is manage testing, and that's for online testing, and we'll touch on that briefly here in a little bit. So what I want to do now is we're going to jump over to a different browser, and we're going to log in as an actual chapter. I think it's important as organizers and state advisors or conference managers that we kind of know the process of what a local advisor has to go through to register for a conference. If questions do happen to come up, you're familiar with the process. So we're going to log in here as a local chapter. It's going to come in here, and we're interested again in the conference registration. The other option down here while we're in here, if you do online testing, chapters are required to register a proctor for their online testing. You'll see the link down here for identify proctors for online testing. When you do that, it's going to ask them for their first name, last name, and an email address. We're going to go ahead and just register one so we can demo this later. Okay, and then you hit submit. A chapter can, sometimes big chapters may register 2 or 3 proctors if it's going to take them, if they have to have multiple people working in computer labs to get all their people tested. So I could put in as many proctors as I need to for my chapter. I'm not limited to one. Save the changes, and we'll go back to the main menu. So we're really interested in conference registration. Click on that link, you get in here, and you're going to see there's a select a conference. If we had multiple conferences for our state, we'd select the one that's appropriate. We've only got the Rhode Island conference, and then we're going to hit begin registration. So I set up this national chapter here. You'll see a few names that we've registered as members here. Now, the first thing, again, we spoke about being able to register family, guest, or other that may not be a member of the chapter. You'll see the link over here for registration, family, guest, and other. If you click that, this screen's going to pop up. You're going to be required to select the gender, and then select the type. Guest is the only option. Type in your name. You don't have to fill in all this organization title or information if you don't want to. They will have the option for activities and options, but not competitive events. So they can choose, I wanted a large t-shirt, hit submit. Okay, so I've got Jim Kinniger registered as a guest, and he's getting a t-shirt large. Excuse me. So now we want to register members that are affiliated in the chapter. And you're going to see a list of all your affiliated members down here. We've got 6 of them in this chapter. We're going to start with Sunny from New Jersey. She is female in gender. She's a secondary member. She wants a t-shirt medium. She's going to go to the Dr. Smith review. And she wants to compete in biotechnology. And so then we're going to hit submit, and you'll see she gets moved up here under conference registration members. Now, if all of a sudden you realize before your registration deadline closes as a local advisor, she's not going to be able to go, or she's not going to do biotechnology, she's really doing medical assisting, you can come in here and hit edit, go down here and change it. She's really doing medical photography. I just checked the wrong thing, got confused, so submit, boom, now she's doing medical photography. And if she all of a sudden realized, now after the conference deadline closes on February 1, chapters will not have the ability to edit or remove a member from registration. That will have to be based on the policy of the state. If it was the national conference, no changes after May 15th. So they have until the close of registration to make any changes. So I think Jeff is registered as a professional or advisor. Like male, he wants a t-shirt large, and that was back in high school. And he's going to go to the new Advisor Leadership Academy and submit. So once you registered all the students and people that you want, we'll go ahead and register a couple more. So Bobby's a female. Oh no, sorry, got confused. I wish I could hear the laughter, but it's kind of weird. State staff. Sorry, got a little distracted there. So he's not competing. State staff. Done. Jake Kinniger. He's a secondary member. He's going to compete in creative problem solving. He's going to be on team 1. Submit. Now, here's where the local chapter advisor is going to see a message. If they overexceed the number that you've set for registration, it's going to pop up a red bar up here that says you have too many people registered for biotechnology. Likewise, if you've got a team event that doesn't have the correct number of team members, it's going to give you a message that says, team number 1 for creative problem solving has 1 team member. You must have at least 3 team members. So we go down here and we're going to register Antonio, and he's going to be on the creative problem solving team 1. And we're going to then come down here and register Bethany. She's going to be on creative problem solving team 1. So as soon as you get enough team members, you'll see the error is removed. Or if you've corrected and removed your person out of biotechnology, the red bar will be removed. So a helpful tip would be to tell your local advisors to be mindful of any red messages that appear to make sure that they don't have any errors in their registration. So we registered all the members from the chapter. We registered 1 guest. We're done. There's no final submit. As soon as you submit for that registration, it's in the system unless you delete it. So there's no final submit or done button here. When you've registered everything you need, we're just going to hit log off. Well, except I want to go back in and show you one other thing. Local chapter. Okay, so we're back in here, conference registration, and say you can go in here as many times as you need. Again, we could come in here. The one other thing that a chapter can do is generate their invoice and a registration report. That's the link here at the upper right-hand corner. When they click that, it's going to ask them how they want it, whether they want to save the file. It's going to come as a PDF. I'm just going to go ahead and open it in Acrobat. And there it is. Let me reduce it here. This is kind of what the report looks like. It's going to summarize all the people that registered, the fees associated, and it's going to have the summary page back here that gives the total. We've got 2 T-shirts large, 1 Leadership Academy. We've got 1 advisor, 1 guest, 4 secondary, and a state staff. So kind of summarizes the fees, gives you a list of who you've got. Again, up here it's going to show all the information that we put in. So if I had put in Rhode Island or something else, it's going to say the name of the conference over here. It's going to give the name of the school and their address, and then over here it's going to give whatever we put in there on the conference. So if you want your invoices mailed to somewhere other than your state office, you might put that address in there so they know to remit to that address. You can put whatever address in when you've created the conference in there, and that's what's going to appear up here. So if that's helpful for you to put where you want something to be sent, you can do that way. Okay, so I've showed you that, and we're going to log off, and we're going to go back over here to our conference registration. So I'm going to hit refresh on our browser, and we've got now 7 members registered, 1 chapter, and we're ready to see a report. So we're going to go over here in the reports, and we're going to we can look at event registration. So let's go ahead and pop that open, and you're going to see that we have 3 people registered for Creative Problem Solving Team 1, and we've got 1 person registered for medical photography. Okay, looks good. It's going to give you a summary for your entire state. If you want just an event registration summary that tells you number of competitors per event, that's going to come out and look like this. For your Rhode Island conference, we've got 3 people in creative problem solving, 1 person in medical photography, 4 total participants. So also you can generate a registration summary by chapter. And you can pop that up, and it's going to tell you, and again, we've only got 1 chapter registered, but it's going to give you a list of all your chapters and their total registration, and then your state total down here below it. Okay. Some of the other, you can do event competitor list. So select the event you want to do, and then hit view. We know we have people. There's a list of all the competitors in creative problem solving by event. Trying to think. You've got just a various number of reports in here. The conference option report, you can select that, and that's going to allow you to get a report that shows who all registered for any of your option activities. So say I wanted all the people who registered for a large T-shirt, I can view that and see, okay, I've got 2 large T-shirts, and these are the people who get them. This gives you a competitor this gives you the competitor count report. It is different in that it's only going to tell you how many teams are registered for team events. So instead of telling you we had 3 people registered for this event, it's telling you we have 1 team. So if you're interested not in the total number of participants, but how many teams did I have registered for career health display or for creative problem solving or HOSA Bowl, you can come in here and do the competitor count report, and it's going to tell you how many teams, so you don't have to try to go through and count participants by chapter or anything. You can run this report, and it's just going to tell you 1 team, 2 teams, 10 teams. So that's kind of the difference in what this competitor count report gives you as opposed to registration summaries that are just going to give you total participants. And again, if you get in here and have questions about any of the reports, you can do event registration summaries by secondary and post-secondary. If you've got a state that has both secondary and post-secondary membership and you want to be able to do a separate report so you can see what's going on there, you can run that report. Okay, so we're going to go back to the main menu. We've kind of done reports, and we're going to take a quick look at the exports. And we give you 4 different exports here: name badges, mail merge, event registration, and external tabulations. Name badges is going to give you kind of just generic information first name, last name, name of the chapter, and you can, it's kind of self-explanatory, you can use that to merge into name badges or certificates or anything like that. The mail merge is going to provide, if they've provided any address or other information in their registration, that's going to give you more of a complete look at all of the information. Event registration, we'll go ahead and do that. It's going to come down as a CSV file, which is openable in Excel or another spreadsheet management program. And while it thinks about it, here it pops up, and it's going to give you, and what you'll see over here is it's still got it named as the old category 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but you can rename those if you like. But you'll see over here MP, leadership events, team events, health science, so forth and so on, team number over here. You'll see the data. You'll see their names, first name, last name, their gender, their participant type. So if you wanted to sort them by participant type, this is going to give you, if you want to manage your conference through Excel or Access or something else, you can download this data, put it in there, and have a pretty good grasp of what you've got. Okay, so those are your exports. Managing online testing. Say we were going to do online testing for one of these events, which creative problem solving or biotechnology. We would check enable testing. We'll say our testing window is 02/01/ and when you do one of them, it's going to put it in all the boxes, which is nice, so you don't have to type in all of the boxes. Your closed testing date, we'll say we give them 4 days to test. We'll close it on the 4th. And it automatically puts the time duration that is in the guidelines over here. Here we've got, if the events have a tiebreaker, if you've checked this box, then the participant will be required to complete the tiebreaker at the end of the test. If you prefer they do the tiebreaker at the state conference or at a regional conference, you can uncheck it, and then they won't do the tiebreakers at the end of the test. So we'll save our changes. We come back over here to the Managed Testing dashboard, and you'll see we've got one conference. If we go under proctors, you're going to see we registered one proctor. If you need to send just this proctor an email, you can hit email proctor. It's going to pop up an email here that shows their proctor ID and password, and you can send it direct from you to them. The other option is to come back to the test menu, and you'll see over here you can send an advisor email or send a proctor email. You select which conference you want to send it for, and then we could send proctor email and hit OK, and it's going to blast out to all the proctors registered that email. Under settings is where these emails are constructed. We've put in template emails. You can come in and modify them if you want to put special state instructions or information in there, but up here are the advisor and proctor emails. You can edit those. Down here are the instructions they see when they've logged in. So the participant sees these instructions. If you want to put a special message from your state to a participant, or if you want to send something special to the proctors that they see once they've logged in, these are their instructions that we provide, and you can edit, update, or change them accordingly for your state. And that's under settings. Participants, we go to Rhode Island Conference. We go select the creative problem solving state test. We search, and there's 3 participants that are registered for that event. If they had taken the test, they would have information in these boxes over here that tells them what their results were, when they logged in, so forth and so on, under testing details. So that's kind of a quick overview. If people need more instructions on online testing, we can certainly circle back to that or have a separate side conversation or one-on-one webinar on online testing, but that's kind of a brief overview. The last thing I want to show you is if you're wanting to manage your conference using the HOSA conference management system that's downloaded to a laptop or desktop machine. I've already opened it, but if you did want to do that, you would come in here. I'm going to go ahead and log off. Come in here to HOSA. You'll go under Advisors and State Advisors, and you're going to see down here that's the HOSA Conference Management System, and you can download a version for Windows, or you can download a version for other platforms, which means those of us who use Mac. You download it, install it. It's a pretty simple install, and then once you have, you just open up the program. It'll be named HOSA Conference Management System 2013. And then when it opens up, you're going to get a screen that kind of looks like this, and depending on whether you're in Windows or a Mac, you'll have a menu that has 4 options: conference, registration, events, and help. So the first time you open it, it's going to ask you to enter your state ID and password, and then once it does, it'll bring up this white screen. Then we're going to come in here to open, because we want to open a conference, and then we want to download a new conference. So once we click that, we're going to see we have a Rhode Island 2014 SLC. And so I'm going to go ahead and hit download, and then you know it's open and ready when it puts up here in the upper bar, HOSA Conference Management System, Rhode Island 2014 SLC. So you know you've opened the right conference and are ready to go. So once you've got that open, then much like you have online, you have a full access to reports. You've got the same kind of list of reports here. You've got exports. You've got a few more exports than you do. Like you can do event cards. You can do top 10s for web or Excel. We've got some others that are specific to some states that work with other groups. So anyway, then if you want to view all your data, say you've downloaded it, you've closed registration, and you need to make a change to somebody. You can come over here to registration and view data. You're going to see a list of everybody. You can search over here by charter number or first name, last name, or member type, or by event, whatever's the easiest way for you to find it. But so say we've got Sunny over here that's not going to come to the conference anymore. Now chances are you're not allowing deletions, but if you do, you could hit delete, and it's going to ask you, are you sure you want to delete the checked row? Yeah, I want to remove them. And then once you click to something else, there she's gone. Say you want to go in here and edit Bobby. You're going to hit edit, and you're going to come in here and see he's not registered for any events. Then down here in options activities, he's registered for a medium t-shirt. Say Bobby really needed a large, so you're going to delete the medium and say yes. Then you're going to hit new. You're going to come up here and hit t-shirt large. You're going to hit OK, and there it's going to appear in the box. Or say all of a sudden Bobby got registered as the wrong participant type. He's not really a state staff. He's really secondary. and he was supposed to be registered for a competitive event. You can come in here and hit New, go to the competitive events, find his event, nutrition test, hit OK. There it is. So that's the way to kind of edit members once you've downloaded them into your system and your registration is closed. If you so desire, you can also track payments by chapter in here. So say we'd received a payment, you can hit New School Payment. You're going to select the school, National HOSA. You can type in a check number and then the amount and hit OK. And it's going to show you that you've entered a payment. And then that'll be reflected when you go over to the invoice. If you go to Reports and go to School Registration Summary, down here, if we had multiple chapters, you'd have a drop-down box to see all the chapters. You can select your chapter, hit Preview, and it's going to pop up here, and you're going to see we entered a $200 payment here. So now they still owe $26, and that's all we got. You go over to page 2, and you see the summary page. Again, it's going to show if they had multiple payments, they'd all show here. It'll show if there's any balance due or a zero balance, or it'd be in parentheses if you owed them money if they had overpaid for some reason. So another option of the system. And I know I'm going fast, and people may have more detailed questions, and we can certainly answer those here in a minute, or if you want a separate call where we can go through any specific needs for your state, we'll be glad to do that as well. We can set up one-on-one webinars and those types of things to make sure you're comfortable with what you need to do and accomplish in your state. We know every state's unique in how they run it and what they do and what features they may or may not need to have. So trying to just give you a big global overview. The last thing that we may want to look at is the event management from the conference management system. That all takes place under events. And the first thing you have to do when you're managing events through the conference management system is section those events. So you'd come in here, hit section events, and it's going to bring up, and you do them individually by event. You can do as much information, but to be able to manage the events, you have to have completed the sectioning process. So we're going to do creative problem solving. We're going to hit next. It's round 1. Competitor time in minutes is 0 because round 1 is a test. Competitors per time slot, we want to put time slot. We just want to leave that blank. We're going to do it by number of sections, and we're going to put them all in one section since it's a test. And then we're going to hit next. Per time slot. So then you get back here to sectioning totals. So this is where you'll put in the day the event takes place and the start time. So you can click here. There we go. So we'll put in the date of 03/01/2014. There we go. Put in slash instead of dash. Okay, and then the event starts at 10 a.m. for testing. We're going to put that there. and we're going to hit finish, and you're done sectioning for that event. You go in and do your next event, and so on and so on. Once you've sectioned, that allows you to go in over here and do an export of event cards, or you can come in here and do event reports and say, need a competitor list by section, and you can hit preview. We got to select the event, preview, and then it's going to tell you all the pertinent data like appointment times, when they show up, 10 a.m., what section they're in. They're all in section 1 because it's round 1 testing. But if you were doing an event like, say, prepared speaking, and you were having to run 2 or 3 sections, it would tell you who was in which section and what time their appointment time is, and so forth, so that you make sure you get them to the right spot, and you give these to your different event managers or people manning the room so that they can do check-in. Again, you've got other reports, event by competitor ID or competitor name, event competitor list by team, event competitor list. You can just do a preview, and this is just going to give you, for creative problem solving, it's going to give you a list of everybody who registered for the event and their team number. If you do event competitor list by team, it's going to put all the teams together, and it won't do it alphabetically by last name. When you do competitor list, you'll see that it was alphabetical by last name. If you do event list sorted by team, it's going to group them by their respective teams by school. So those are kind of the reports. Again, lots of detail you can get into there, but I know Bobby's got some questions that have been asked, so we will turn this over to some question and answer time, and I'll see if I can't address some of the questions that have been sent in. Bobby will be feeding them to me. What is my first question, Bobby? Can you make a field in registration mandatory? I'm not sure. You can make a field in options activities mandatory by checking that box that says requires user input. That was below. Let me get back in here for a second. But I don't think you can make, I don't think we have a way right now to make email addresses mandatory. We can certainly look into the ability to maybe check a field that you want to require to be mandatory. I'll put that on our list to talk with our programmer about. But right now, the only thing you can kind of make next question is there an advisor-chaperone ratio, like 1 chaperone for every 10 students? Our system does not require that, obviously. Now, as a state, you may have a policy that says if a chapter brings 30 people, they've got to have at least 1 chaperone per 30. And that would probably be a policy you'd put in place on your state level. But as far as a policy National HOSA has had, we don't really have anything in place that requires any ratio on chaperone per student. Do students have the ability to log in to their test outside of school? They certainly could use an outside computer, but it becomes real tricky in that the process that we've set up requires a proctor to help initiate the exam. And if the proctor is not logged in at the same time as the student, they're not going to be able to take the test. So, and also if you've allowed somebody to log in outside of school, then that really defeats the purpose of having a proctor, because you can't, unless you're webcamming and can monitor the student online, then chances are you're not going to have a very good idea of whether that student's being honest in the way they take the test. But conceivably, if you had a proctor that said, okay, at 6 o'clock tonight, I'm going to log on, and you're going to log on, and I'm going to start your test, and you can start your test, then yes, you might not have to be in the same room, or might not even have to be at school. But it would be real difficult, because you're still going to have a proctor committed somewhere to helping manage that process for the student. They can't log on without proctor assistance. No, it is not true that test scores will be thrown out if tests aren't taken at the same time. That's really a state policy. You don't have to take your test at the same time. Our system doesn't require it, even though there's a message in there that says students that are taking the same test need to take it at the same time. It's not required. If Bobby and I are both taking the biotechnology test, and I'm in Block A and he's in Block B, I can come in and test, and then he can go in and test, and that's not an issue. And again, you can modify those instructions in the online testing to take that information out of there. I think when it was originally set up, it was based on somebody else's template, and that language was put in there and has never been just taken out of our template, but it can be removed, obviously. To do online testing, would I set up a separate conference? Online testing happens at a separate time, different than SLC, or could I do online testing SLC? I would recommend that you do your online testing. If your online testing is being done as part of your SLC, I would do it all as part of the same conference. If you're doing it as a regional or some kind of qualifier, then I would do it as a separate conference if they were going to come to the state and then again retest. But if they're testing online as part of the SLC, I would do it all in one conference, and then you just upload the results and you're done. Can state advisors see questions and answers in the online testing? Yes, it is possible to see that. Let me go in here and I'll kind of show you how that happens. When you've logged in here and you can advisors see questions and answers from students after submission? Yeah, when you've logged in here and you go under Manage Testing, and you go to participants and you select your conference and your test. Actually, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to log in to one that I know is done. We're going to use George's conference because I know his regional testing is complete. Okay. Regional managed testing. Okay, so we come in here under participants. We're going to select a test, biotechnology for regional conference, search. So you've got all these people here. Where is that? Okay, so you go under test from the main menu and you select which test you want to view. And then over here you're going to see the name of the test taker is a live link. So if I want to see the test results or questions for, I'm going to click it, and then I'm going to be able to see what she did. It's going to give me a complete list of her questions and her answers. The red ones, obviously, she did not get right. The ones without a red streak and the answer, she answered correctly. So you'll be able to then go in if you need to do a tiebreaker on online testing based on the first 5 or second 5 that they got right or something like that. You can see down here they also completed tiebreaker, or the tiebreaker questions were down there. So you access that information by, if you're at the main menu, you find your conference, go to Manage Testing, then you see the list of tests comes up here. Select the test you want to see, HOSA Bowl. Takes a second for it to load, and then again you just click on the link of the name of the person you want to see, and you're going to see how they did on the test. Next question, can we send you state level tests, state officer, anatomy tests for you to upload in the online testing system? Yes, we have converted state level tests to be used in the system before, and what we require is that we receive the questions with the answers marked, and it needs to be in the format of multiple choice, A, B, C, D, or E. And then we can convert that test and upload it for you as a state level test. Explain the difference between regional level and state online testing. Regional level, for some of our states that are larger, they break their states up into regions or areas depending on what state does. In Georgia they call them regions, so forth. And what they do is, Texas does not have the ability to run a conference that would allow every chapter to bring 2 or 3 participants, so they run what they call area competitions that then states, they online test. If they qualify in the online testing, they go to the regional conference. At the regional conference, the top 5 winners are allowed to advance to the state conference, and then at the state conference, they've been able to manage their numbers, so they're only drawing 5 from a region instead of 50. So they use the region or area testing to kind of pare down their numbers before to qualify them to attend state. Much like nationals allows a state to bring 3 participants in every event, a regional is a state's way of saying, okay, this region can bring X number of people, or this region can bring X number of people. We have had some states that have used testing to qualify members from a chapter. It's probably not the preferred method, but it's kind of a way of basically doing a regional or online testing to qualify somebody to come. This is not to be used as a way to administer a practice exam. If you use the regional testing, what National HOSA has always done is set up the testing is that the states receive the previous year's NLC test to be used as their state exams, and then if they do run a regional conference, then they use 2 years ago's national conference as their regional test, and that's the way we've set up the online testing system. So if you do a regional or area conference, you're using the 2012 NLC test. If you do your state level testing, you're using the 2013 NLC exams. So hope that answers that question. What is the difference between the online CMS and the downloaded CMS? The major difference is the ability to manage competitive events. The online version gives you all the reports and functionality and exports, but it does not give you the ability to tabulate and run your competitive events. So if you want to use the system to tabulate and run your competitive events, then you download the system to your desktop and download your conference there and run your competitive events and tabulate out of that. If you just want the data, say you're running a fall leadership, or say you've got another way to manage your competitive events at the state conference and you're just wanting registration data, then you should be able to achieve all of that by just using the online version of the system, and then you wouldn't need to use the downloadable version. I think Bobby's telling me that those are all the questions that have been asked at this time. Does anybody else have any other questions before we sign off from this webinar? Again, I want to reiterate that if we didn't cover what is specific for your state and you want to set up a time where we can talk more about your specific needs or do a private webinar, we're certainly glad to do so. We have that capability. Also, we will be archiving this webinar it was recorded and it will be archived to YouTube. So if you do need to go back for a little review or you just missed the sounds of my hoarse voice today, you can go back and watch it and put yourself to sleep at night. But anyway, if no further questions, we certainly wish you best of luck at your state conferences. And again, don't hesitate to reach out to us if you need more assistance or we didn't address your specific needs for your state, and we will gladly get those taken care of for you. I hope you have a great